Have you ever wondered how one person can change the world? I mean, really change it. We're going to talk about a man, an orphan from the Arabian desert, who founded a faith that now has billions of followers. This is the story of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. We're going to dive into how his life and his message completely altered the course of history.
Okay, so first, picture this bustling city, Makkah. It's a hub of trade, deals are being made left and right. And in this city, there's one guy who stands out for his absolute rock-solid integrity. People called him Al-Amin, the trustworthy. Why? Because everyone, and I mean everyone, knew that his word was his bond. And this reputation, earned long before he was a prophet, well, that's the bedrock for everything that's about to happen. So, the question is, how does a man known for being an honest merchant become a messenger of God? How does an orphan rise up to lead a global community? That's the incredible journey we're about to get into. The story of how a man from Makkah would literally change the map of the world. Right, let's really set the scene. We're going back to 6th century Arabia. Makkah wasn't just some town, it was this vibrant crossroads of culture and commerce, a place with ancient traditions and really deep tribal loyalties. It's right in the middle of this dynamic world that our story kicks off. You know, his life started with some profound loss. He was born into the powerful Quraysh tribe, but he never even met his father. Then, by the time he was just 6 years old, his mother passed away too. He was raised first by his grandfather and then by his uncle, Abu Talib, who loved him dearly. And these early hardships, they really shaped him. They forged this incredible character of integrity that would define his entire life, from his time as a young shepherd to his marriage to the amazing businesswoman Khadija. So even though he became a successful merchant, he started to feel really uneasy about the world around him in Makkah, the greed, the inequality. He just felt this deep spiritual pull, like there had to be something more. This feeling led him to seek quiet and solitude up in the mountains, a retreat that would lead to a moment that changed everything. So he would go up there, high above the bustling city, to the quiet of a cave, the cave of Hira. It was his space for deep meditation. He'd spend days just reflecting on his people and on the big questions of life. And it was right there, in that quiet cave, at the age of 40, that the course of his life, and really the course of human history, was about to take a dramatic turn.
And then, in that total quiet, he wasn't alone anymore. The angel Gabriel appeared right before him with a message from God. And the very first command, the one word that would spark a spiritual revolution, was simple but so powerful: raid. This was it. This was the dawn of his prophethood, the start of a mission that would last for the next 23 years.
You can just imagine, right? He returns home completely shaken, overwhelmed. And who is his anchor? His wife, Khadija. Her immediate, unwavering belief in him meant everything. She was the very first person to accept the new faith. And soon after, his closest companions followed: his young cousin Ali, his best friend Abu Bakr, and his freedman Zaid. This small, tight-knit group became the heart of a new movement that, for the first few years, grew quietly, in secret. But, a message this big, it can't stay a secret forever. And when the call finally went public, the pushback was fierce. This next chapter of his life was going to be a massive test of faith for everyone involved. Okay, this slide really gets to the core of the conflict. The message of Islam was, well, it was revolutionary. It called for one God, which totally challenged the whole system of idol worship that was, frankly, a huge part of Makkah's economy. It demanded justice for the poor, which threatened the old tribal hierarchy. And it talked about accountability after death, which scared the powerful who didn't want to answer for their actions. The leaders of Makkah saw this as a direct threat to their power, their wealth, their whole way of life, and they fought back, hard. The persecution just got worse and worse. And then, the absolute unthinkable happened. In one single devastating year, he lost his two biggest supporters. His wife Khadija, his rock, his first believer. She passed away. And just a little while later, his uncle Abu Talib, the man who had protected him from the worst of the Quraysh, was also gone. This period, known as the Year of Sorrow, was a time of immense grief, and it left the early Muslims more exposed than ever. But even in this darkest hour, a little bit of hope emerged. An invitation came from a city to the north, Yathrib, offering a safe place for the persecuted Muslims. And this wasn't just about escaping. This was a turning point. The Hijra, this migration, would do more than just save the community. It would lay the foundation for a whole new kind of society. It was such a big deal that it actually marks day one of the Islamic calendar. So arriving in Yathrib, which would soon be renamed Medina, the city of the Prophet, was a brand new start. This was their chance to actually build a society from the ground up, guided by the principles of their faith, a community built on justice and brotherhood. In Medina, his role completely transformed. He went from being a preacher on the run to a visionary leader and a statesman. He immediately organized the building of a mosque, which became the spiritual and social heart of the city. He created this incredible bond of brotherhood between the migrants from Mecca and the locals in Medina. And then he did something that was centuries ahead of its time. He drafted the Constitution of Medina. This was a groundbreaking social contract that guaranteed rights and protection for everyone in the city, including the Jewish tribes and other communities. It was a blueprint for a pluralistic society. But the threat from Mecca was far from gone. This new community had to defend itself, and there were several critical battles. At Badr, a tiny Muslim force won a shocking and decisive victory. At Uhud, they suffered a painful setback but learned some really important lessons. And then, in the Battle of the Trench, they successfully defended their new home from a massive siege. These weren't wars of aggression. These were plain and simple struggles for survival. All right, so fast forward 8 long years. 8 years after fleeing for his life, the Prophet is on the verge of returning to Mecca. But this wasn't going to be a conquest fueled by revenge. No, the way this final chapter unfolded would cement his legacy in a way no one could have predicted. 10,000. Just let that number sink in for a minute. That's how many people marched with him back towards Mecca. I mean, think about it. Just a handful of years before, they were this tiny hunted group. Now they were returning as a powerful force. But they weren't coming for payback. They were a living testament to the power of faith. So as he entered the city, he held the fate of his worst enemies in his hands. These are the people who tortured his followers, drove him from his home, and tried to kill him. He had all the power. And in that moment of ultimate authority, he chose mercy. He looked at them all and said, "Go, for you are free." That single act of radical forgiveness might just be the most powerful example of his entire message. As his life's mission drew to a close, he delivered one final sermon, and it's basically a timeless charter for human rights. Standing before thousands, he called for an end to racism, saying no race is better than another. He championed the rights of women. He declared all life and property sacred. And he urged everyone to hold on tight to the core teachings of their faith. With his work finally complete, he returned to his home in Medina one last time. At the age of 63, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, passed away, leaving behind a united Arabia and a message that was about to spread across the globe. So, from the honest merchant of Makkah to the compassionate leader who forgave his enemies, his life was just this incredible testament to integrity, to resilience, and to mercy. And that really leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? In our world, which is changing so fast, what is it about the life and message of this one man from the 7th century that continues to inspire and guide billions of people all over the planet today?